Give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. And something along those lines. Give a man a fire and he's warm for a day, but set fire to him and he's warm for the rest of his life. So now that we're done with some motivation, I want to teach you guys how to fish. So, how to build out your daily, monthly, weekly, yearly, I know I got the order wrong, templates and structures within your vault that works for you. I'm here to give you the skills that you need in order to make a system that works for you. You don't want to copy and paste my own structure. You want to have my structure and adapt it to your style. So let me quickly take you on a journey. We have a specific week, which within that week, we have specific days that we obviously at the end of the week want to review. At the end of the week, we have a review template that we built out the previous video. But we also, at the end of the month, want to see what happened in that month from the first day of the month to the last day of the month. So what we have is the daily log, and we have the daily log for the 5th of March. We inserted how many pictures we wanted for that specific day because a picture is worth 1,000 words. We had a couple of log experiences. You had chats with people, you went to a coffee shop, you watched some series, you had a podcast with some insights related to it, you watched an Obsidian video. Then we logged our morning, log amount of sleep hours, log sleep rating. We tracked our consumables, 2 liters of water, 3 coffees, unhealthy eating of scale of -2 to 2. And then we have our evening review where we say day 1 review here. And this is the first day of the week. As we continue throughout the week, I went to liberties of filling in the rest of the week. So each week has 3 pictures. That is the depiction of what happened that day. And we have some reviews. So now, end of the week, like we did for the previous video, we just create our weekly note. Our weekly note, if we scroll down, has all the pictures of all the days of our week. We then, if we go up and we just close the pictures, we can see that review. We have all the details of our week. So this is where you would have the review of what happened that day, high points, low points, points to improve, blah, blah, blah. It's a lot of spelling mistakes, but don't mind that because I'm rushing through it. And then we have all the ratings for the week. And then the table below, we have the averages and the totals for these ratings throughout the week. Then for tracking, we have people. Cool. I had a chat with Elon Musk and you're like, oh, what else did I speak with Elon Musk about? I had a lot of chats with him. We can go to his page and we can see, cool, here's all the chats that we had with him. That's also covered with the people's template video. Then we have experiences, only the experiences for this week. The podcast, only the podcasts that we listened to for this week. The readings, only the readings we had for this week. Now, we haven't done it, but let's assume that we have filled in from the 1st of March to the 31st of March. We have filled in all the days, and now we want to see what happened in this month. We click a new tab, Control P, type in monthly note, and now we have our monthly note. For pictures, we're only going to have it for the 1 week or the 7 days that we filled in. So let's just open it up and see how it looks. We can see for week 10, cool, we had that, but we can see that week 9 is not there because there's no photos there. So if we go down, you can see, cool, week 13 is also not there. But if we fill it in, so let's say for this one, week 11, let's say on the 12th, we created a day just to show you how it pulls through specifically for the pictures. Let's say we had a couple of pictures, and let's say we had a couple of pictures, paste it, obviously change the style, and we have another picture, we paste it. So this is something you can upload through the Obsidian phone app, which I do, or you can just do it on a computer if you have a way to get your images across. But for me, I just take a couple of photos on my phone, end of the day, open up the Obsidian app and then just pop it in. So for this day, we went to a gallery in Amsterdam. And then obviously, let's assume that we did for all the weeks. So now we want to create that weekly note, and we can see it pulling into the weekly notes automatically. For the rest, we haven't created those days. And let's fill in our weekly review for this one. So on weekly review was a week of art. Cool. And now if we go back to our monthly, we can see that the art pulled through automatically without us having even to update the templates. So that is great. And we can see that the details of the specific weeks also pulled in. let's get started. First things first, we're going to create a new template, and we're going to call this template, right-click, templates, monthly note template. And now we want to start filling it in. So we can obviously go to our weekly note template, and we can probably just copy over most of it, and then we'll start changing it from there. So we scroll all the way to the top. The first thing we want to change is monthly, and then the date is also something we want to change. We want to change the date to the first day of the month, like we did for the week. We made it the first day of the week. So for the first day of the month, the code looks almost exactly the same, except for the formatting, I guess. So this is for the week, and let's just compare it to the month's code, which looks like this. So everything's the same except for the format that changed. For the week, we had the week format, but for month, we have year, month. Start off, instead of week, we have month. We add no days, and you can take this out if you want, but I like to keep it in as a reminder that you can do this. And then the format, we want the same format. So now we can delete that. Next thing that we want to do is we want the end of month date. So I'm just going to call this end of month date. It's a new metadata YAML field that we are creating. And here we want the end of the month. The reason why we want the end of the month is to be able to determine how many days were in the specific month. In February, there was 28 days. In March, there's going to be 31. And we want to use that number for our calculations down here. Instead of divided by 7, because there's always going to be 7 days in a week, we want to divide by the number of days in a month. So we want the end of month date, and that code looks like this. Exactly the same. Moment, TP file title. The title of this file is in the format year, month. So that template knows, cool, the first 4 digits of this month's note, which is going to look something like, if we just create a new one, 2023, let's say we're doing it for Feb, is going to be like this. So template then knows that year, the first 4 digits is going to be a dash, which means nothing. And then the next 2 digits is going to be month. And it can say, cool, okay, we want the end of that month. We want to add 0 days. Again, you can delete this. And we want it in the format of year, month, day. So the last day. So that is great. And let's see if there's anything else that we need. Okay, cool. So that looks good. Let's change the weekly log to the monthly log. And now we want the previous month and next month. How that looks is, again, almost exactly the same. And let's just do the comparison for purposes. But just remember, comparison is the thief of joy. So everything is exactly the same, except obviously for the format of this file title and how templates should read that title. And this basically formats it in, hey, we are looking at a date. And then template can do something with it. Instead of the start of the week, we want start of the month. And we want to add -1 days. So if we're at the start of the month, it would be 1st of Feb, -1 day. That then would be in January. So it would be the 31st of January. And then, okay, well, we want to format that to only return the year, month of that -1 day month. Okay, I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, just buy Vault and make your life easy. It's good to understand, but it's better to understand and not have to do the handiwork, I guess. Okay, so now we have the previous. For the next month, we want to have exactly the same code. So let's just do it. Copy the previous. We're going to go to the next, and we want end of instead of start of month. And we want to add 1 day. That should be fine. And then the parent should just be the year. And that means we can take out the month parent, and we're going to change this format to be month. And we want the format to be year. Okay, so that's all set up. You can keep the Google Link calendar tracking app. I'm going to take it out for now because I don't use it that way. I always have my tracking app open, and I, in my personal vault, have the plugin to Todoist, and it works well enough for me, so I never use these top brackets. I'm just going to take it out, but you can keep it in. And now what we want is, this is still the weekly days, but we want a metadata field that shows every single day within that month. So we want 1st of Feb, 2nd of Feb, 3rd of Feb, all the way through to 28th of Feb. And we want this code to generate that, if I go to the 8th week, to generate this type of metadata within this metadata field called days, but not just for the 1 week, but for the entire month. So what that code looks like, I'm not going to write it out because I had fun playing around with it in my personal vault, and it looks much simpler than the previous one. So basically what we're doing here is we are creating a new variable. We are assigning an array to it, meaning it's going to be a list of some sort. What we take is a moment of TP file type, and we take it as this day, end of month. So this just creates end of month, format as day. Not really sure what it means, to be honest, but it works. So just trust me. We create a map in order to do add an add integer for each of the 31 days or 28 days in the February's case, funds, and put it in the format of this. So yeah, you can go through and try to determine what is happening, but basically what it's doing is it's going from the start of the month, from the end of the month, and it's minusing the start of the month and determining that it's 28 days, and it needs to do this function and put it into this array 28 times with incrementing the variable I with 1 each time. Sounds very complicated. You don't need to know how it works. All you need to do is just follow the link in the description by the demo vault and just make your life easier. Otherwise, if you enjoy this type of thing, then good for you. You don't have to waste or spend any money, and you gain new knowledge. And that's what I'm here for. Okay, for the pictures, it is something similar as to this code, but also not. So this one, you can follow along by pausing and just writing out this code. Again, this is code that I had to play around with for quite some time, and it took some time to get right. This hours a week, I've no idea what it stands for. All I know is this code, and just beware of this little star that's creeping up here because you need it, works. And we're going to see if it works now. So let's stop here for now. We're going to stop at review tracking, and we're first going to see if this code works. So we want to see that it pulls in the correct start date of the month. So it always needs to be the 1st of that specific month, the correct end date. And it doesn't matter which month we're in, because we are already in March, but I'm going to create the February month. We obviously want the title, monthly log. We want the previous month, next month to put in correctly, the parent, which is the year which the specific month falls into. We want all the 28 days to appear here. And then for pictures, we want this title, and then we want it to pull in all the pictures, pulling in from the weeks that it picks up with this month. So this is going to go to all the weeks within a month and not the days within a month. So this is where, again, your choice comes in of how you want to see it. For me, I would want to see the month still broken up per weeks. So take the 1st, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th, or sometimes it's going to be a little bit weird where you don't see a specific week because how Templator would interpret it is as seeing it in the previous month. And this might be a deal breaker for some people, that they just would rather want to see all the pictures for all the days, and like this. So they would rather want to just have all the days under a picture library. And then essentially what you would do for each day, you would just copy the weekly note code, which is pictures. And yeah, going to have to think about how to create a formula to just take the days. So then I would advise just to actually disregard what I just said now. Come to this code and start of month again, I guess. Or just like take it down and play around with this code until you just get the days instead of the weeks. So this is just the way I want to do it. I'm not going to try and fiddle around with this code more just to get all the days. I might, but probably not. But okay, enough down the rabbit hole. Let's try to create a new month note. Okay, let's create a month. We created a month just by creating a new note. Alt-E, and we want the monthly note template. Okay, so it seems like it created everything quite nicely. We can see all the days pull in correctly. We have the previous month, next month here, all the days in February is there. The pictures, obviously, we have not created week 5, 6, and 7, but we have played around with week 8, and we can see how it would pull it in. And then we can also see how it chooses which weeks to appear. So it obviously starts at the 5th, because February start within the 5th week. So you will obviously see the 29th, 30th, 31st. Pictures in here as well, and it stops at the 9th, so you'll have some overlapping. It seems like it just takes all the weeks. So in order for this to work, you need to create your weekly each week, and obviously if you don't create specific days photos, it won't appear here, and it would be something similar. What I love about this is it creates an accountability system for yourself. It's almost gamifying your productivity system, that at the end of the week or month, you can see which days you did not fill in, and then you go down a little bit of a rabbit hole of like, okay, try to remember, what did I do that day? Do I have any pictures? Do I have anything that I can fill in? And it's just nice to know that you're holding yourself accountable, because when you come to the end of the month and you see these guys that weren't created, you feel bad about yourself. It's a small thing, but it helps a tremendous amount in just keeping myself accountable. Okay, so we have the pictures, and then obviously we need to get tutor review and tracking, but everything else seemed to work perfectly. For the pictures, if you guys really want to only see all the days, like in the weekly, where it would just basically show this day, this day, this day, and not show which week it fell under, let me know in the comments, and I'll tinker with the code a little bit. But the reason why I like this weekly, and then underneath the weekly you still have the daily, is you can just click on it and then go to that week. And then you can review that week. It's like, oh, I remember that picture of going to the gym and doing some rowing. Then you can just go like, okay, cool. So that was on the 24th. So 24th, Friday, no energy left, need rest. Out of the day was going to the moon and back with Dogecoin. Cool. Yeah. Beautiful insights. I can also see like, okay, log sleep hours, log coffee, log water. It's a nice way to go back in time easily. Okay. So next thing that we want to do is we want to start looking at the reviews. Okay, so for the reviews, we want to, first of all, on our daily reviews, we want to change it to weekly reviews. So what that would look like, well, let's just change the name first, because in our months you want to see our weekly reviews. And then we want to create a table. So again, this is going to create some overlap with some weeks spanning over the period of 2 months where they intersect. But the code for this is going to look like this. So I just deleted the previous one. You can just do the same. You can see what the difference are. So for the first one, the original weekly code, we have table without ID. For the new one, you're going to have the same. Link, source, date, format. The only thing that we change is we don't want to look at the month, day. We want to look at year, week as that. So that's one thing that changes. Row details stay the same. From here, we just specified journal, but now we want to only pull from the weekly. So you need to make sure that from where you are saving your weekly notes, flat and August details stays the same. And then where it contains lower details, only thing that changes is on day review. Now we want log weekly review, and the date also changed. So this end of month date. So this little guide we created here. So it needs to be between, the date needs to be smaller than end of month date and bigger than, this might make a little bit more sense. If we move this to before, it might make a little bit more sense. And then we take this out. Okay. So now we have where this note's date, which is going to be the 1st of Feb. If we create a monthly note, it's going to be, this date is going to be the 1st of Feb, where bigger than this date. So we want the weeks which have a date of bigger or equals than this date. And then we want to have a weekly note returned where that weekly note's date is smaller than the end of this month. And that's just a way to capture all your weekly notes. And that's all you need. So let's delete this. Now, this is the part we want to fill in. So also, this is from our personal vault. So our log weekly review might be a little bit different. So let's just keep it consistent with what I've been teaching you guys. And this is on weekly review, not log weekly review. So where it contains details, let's just change this log weekly review to what we've been using as on weekly review. This is going to be changed to our monthly review. Then we have our daily log for sleep ratings, all those nice little things. We have our week log. So that is maybe still something that we want. So we want to see all the days, not necessarily the week, because it's going to create a lot of confusion as to how many coffees did we consume this month. And then it's overlapping by 29 going to the 4th. So then it's like, instead of a 28-day month in Feb, we are practically going to be showing, if we just use the weekly log statistics and pull it from there, we're basically going to have a 35-day month for Feb, which is not showing the information accurately. When you think about months, you only want to see the information in that month. Okay, so for the first one, the code is going to look like this. So let me just take this out and copy paste what it looks like now. So we have a data view query. This clipboard plus is just specifying that we want this to be like in a callout type vibe. And what I mean by type vibe, to use very technical terminology, type vibe, it just creates this little box where the information gets displayed in, and I quite like it. You can just choose to take it out, and then your data view would be like that. You take out the ones that it auto creates, and then you just need to go to the end of that code and put it back in the last 3 little dots. And then you won't have it within that callout. But if you want it in a callout, if I Control Z, it does something weird where the data view then looks like this. And then you take out the last stuff that there would normally be. That's just something you need to do. Okay, so table without ID, link source date format, week, do decimal structure, weekly. Sorry, I was busy here. Okay, so daily log. We want table, log day rating, log sleep hours. So we're going to do this for all the days, and obviously end of month and date. This date we want to change where it's bigger than, no, this is correct, because this date is always going to be this date, this file's date, and that's going to be the start of the month. So that is all good for this one. Sorry, for this one. And then for the next one, the monthly log. So this is where we're going to summarize our statistics. So here we want log month rating, and these are variables that we're going to create here. Again, log month average sleep hours, log month sleep rating, log month coffee consumption, log month water consumption, log month healthy eating. And this is something that I have included, and let's just take out healthy eating. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to actually create those variables. We want to create those variables that we are specifying in this data view table. Yeah, it's just like we did for the weekly. So I'm going to change all the weeks to months, and months, and months. Okay, so now one thing that we need to change is obviously this divide by 7, and we want to divide it by the number of days in this specific month. The way you do that is through this code. So let's just make a couple of spaces and then create exactly the same variable so we can see what the difference is between the weekly log week rating and log month rating. So for this one, it's basically still log week rating. This is the code for log week rating. Now we want log month rating. And this is what the code looks like. So we still have the round, we still have the sum, we still have the non-null, we still have this days. So this file that we create, which is like the February's monthly note dot days, which is this, when you scroll up, this metadata field, which is going to have a list of all the days within a month, and that specific days within that list, run through it and return the log day rating of that specific day. So it's going to go from the 1st all the way to 28th. And now that we have that sum of all the days within our month, which is this, we want to divide by the number of days in the month. So we knew for a week it's only 7, but for the month it is going to be this code. So in order to calculate how many days there were, you're going to format it as a number. You're going to take the date format of date this dot end of month date and only extract the day. So if we go to our monthly notes again, we can see that if we go to edit mode and go to our YAML front-end matter, you can see that the end of month date, that last 2 digits, which is the day. And if we go here, it's the day. We know that that is going to be the amount of days in a month. It's quite intuitive. So cool. We want to extract that, but we want to format that as a number. That's what that does. And then just to make sure that it is formatted as a number, we +1, -1, and this last 2 is part of this round function. So anything within this, what it returns, this divide by number of days a month, we want a decimal rounding of 2. Otherwise, it's going to pop up like 10 decimal numbers. That is our log month rating formula. So now we can take out the log week rating, and then we do exactly the same for log month average sleep hours. And I'm not going to write it out. I'm going to copy paste it. You can pause if you want. And that code looks like this. Just enter to make this easier for you guys to pause and write out. We have log month sleep rating, and that looks like this. We have log month coffee consumption, and there's actually one thing that I want to add is healthy eating, but that's going to come later. Okay, log month sleep rating. Let's do coffee consumption next. Log month coffee consumption, and that is actually going to remain the same for this total coffee consumption. That is going to remain exactly the same because we just going for this day's log coffee, so we just want to sum, we don't want to divide by anything. Then log water consumption also stays exactly the same as the weekly notes. And then log healthy eating, we want to divide this one by the right formula, and the right formula, because we also need to divide it by the number of correct days within that month. It looks like this. And I like to put this log month healthy eating rating, I like to put it with the averages rating. I'm just going to put it here. Okay. So now we have all our variables. Let's see if they work. I'm just going to put them all together, and let's go back to our February. Go to edit mode, Control-Alt, delete. And now we're just going to test our template again. Monthly of template. Cool. Go to reading mode, or let's stay in edit mode. You can see like the beginning is correct. The end is correct. The days are correct. Obviously pictures not gonna be here because we haven't created those days yet. Let's just close the pictures and let's look at reviews. Okay, so the weekly reviews did not get picked up. So that's something we obviously need to check. The daily log also didn't get picked up, and I think I know why. That is because I copy pasted this from my personal vault. So where we see from, we need to change to this specific structure in my demo vault. So apologies for that. So from let's see, in the weekly journal, we used from journal. So let's use this, copy paste. And then here, we want to paste it here, and then we don't want the daily, we want the weekly. So the weekly is 02 weekly. So that is one thing we changed. So let's just go test it immediately. Go back to your monthly February notes, Control-Alt, delete, Alt-E monthly note, and let's see if that table is pulling through correctly. And no, it still does not. So then it's still something that we're missing. So we have link, date, source. Okay, that's where the problem solving is going to come in handy again. So link, source, rows, details are details from journal. 02 weekly. Do we have our 08 week, which is in Feb, in there? Yes, we do. Weekly. Let's check if the dates are correct. And I think I know what it is. So again, I love that I'm getting stuck at these pods because this is something that I have wasted a lot of time on in the past. So for this query, everything looks correct except where contains lower details. So we want the lowercase, and what we specified is one weekly review with a capital R. So now if we change this in our monthly February note, cool. That pulls through correctly. We can see there's nothing because if you go to the 8th week and we go to edit mode, we can see that we have not filled in our weekly review. So this week was a week of just fooling around. So now if we go back to our monthly, it pops up. So that is a very important mistake that I made, and I'm pretty sure other people would also make. So just make sure that lowercase is the better way of doing it. But when you don't see the results that you expect, go back and check that first. Okay, so that works. So we changed it in the Feb, so let's just change it in our template as well. So on weekly review, and then we want the same change for our daily log. We obviously are pulling from a file path that does not exist. Again, apologies for that. And we just want to copy paste this from. and paste it. Yeah, and the rest should be fine. So let's test, and test again. Go to your February note, go to edit mode, Control All, delete, Alt E, and monthly note template. Cool, fine. We have this. Cool. Log day rating, log sleep hours, log sleep rating, log coffee, log water is not pulling in correctly. So I think for this, we want to change a couple of things. What I mean by that is we don't actually want to see our weekly log ratings, because the weekly log ratings is going to be false due to the overlapping days for the different weeks and months. So we actually just want to delete that daily log, or we want to take the code. Yeah, we just want to swap it around. So this monthly is incorrectly named. We want to move this days that we're seeing here. We want to move it over to our daily log. So for the daily log, this is just pulling in the weekly. We don't want to see the weekly log sleep hours, log day rating. And this is, we do want to see it, but we want to see it from daily. And that's why we're not seeing everything correctly. So we still want this as daily. Let's just see what it does. I'm a little confused myself. So let's just delete, Control Alt E, monthly note template, and let's see what it does. Pictures. It's closed down. Okay, so this looks much better. Obviously, the week review, something we still want. You can make a new file for the daily reviews, but I think if you have the weeks, it should be fine, even though it's a little bit overlapping. Daily log, you can see all the notes that we have created is only popping up, which is great. That's what we want to see. This monthly, we only want one line, which is these guys. So let's go back to our template and look at what it is doing. So we want log month rating, log month healthy eating, where contains file name, this file name, which is 02. So the monthly log. So we must probably specify, because this is pulling, okay, so I know what's wrong. So what it's doing is where contains file name, where the file name contains this file name, and this file name is basically just this. But all the days within our month starts with 2023 minus 02. So you need to be very specific, saying only contains this. We can't say part of the string contains this. So the way to solve that would be to do the following. So if you go back to our monthly note template, we say where contains. So where, let's take out the contains and just say equals this file name. And then it needs to be that or nothing. Let's go back to our February and Control E to go to edit view, Control A to select everything, delete, Alt E to go to your templates, and then monthly note template. And now seeing that everything is okay. So that's wonderful. So now we have everything. We can see in a month so far, because we only have filled in a couple of days, we have had a total of 28 coffees. We had a total of 14.5 liters of water. You can see our average log month healthy eating, which is scale of -2 to 2, so not too healthy. Our sleep rating -2 to 2, we are 0.11, so also not too good. Log month average sleep hours. Yeah, so log month rating, average sleep hours, average sleep rating, and average healthy eating. These guys are divided by 28 days. We haven't filled in all the 28 days, so it's not an accountability system. So if you come to a month and you see that, shit, I forgot to fill in a couple of days, I can't remember if it was healthy or not healthy, you can just come here and then choose the number of days here. So just look at the brackets. Yeah. So you'll highlight this just before the last closing brackets, and then you'll say something like, okay, I only filled in 27 days, or let's say I only filled in 20 days. So then you'll see the log month rating. If we go back, would improve quite a bit because it's not divided by 28, it's only 20. So I'm just going to revert that back. That's just something that you can be aware of if you did not fill in all the days, as life happens. But I'm pretty happy with this. Obviously, let's just test that if we add another day that these statistics would pop up here. So let's add, let's say the 28th. So we see the 28th is not here. Let's go to and create a new 28th node. Let's fill in a couple of sleep hours. Let's just make this 999, log sleep rating, and log water 99, 99. And let's just go back to our month, and that should automatically fill in. And then obviously these guys are going to be updated, should be updated as well, but we know, and it's again good that it's not showing that's updated. And the reason for that is you need, in order for these queries if I go to edit view, these queries to update, you need to close the note and reopen it. So let's close the note, go to new one, control open, and go back to February. And now, if you close the pictures, which is closed, you can see that it is reflecting. So we're walking through all the potential bugs. This is great. So next we are going to go to our tracking, and that is probably going to be one of the fastest things to edit out. Just note that we are only doing people experiences podcast reading for the days within a month, so day 1 to 28, but you can add as many basically MOCs for this specific month as you like. But yeah, we're just going to do people experiences, podcasts, and reading. Starting with the PL tracking, let's go to edit mode and go to PL player, and we have data view. Okay, let's see logically what we need to change here. So the only thing that we need to change is we need to change the date range. Everything else should be fine because it is pulling in daily note information. So we want to go look at all the daily notes where there is a log within the month of February on person, and we want to return it. So this little piece of code is something we've seen before. So we're just going to go grab it, one of the top queries, the first query, and copy from our weekly reviews one. And if you go to people, we paste it here and just make sure there's no two ands next to each other. And for this one, it changes lower, so that's fine. And it is the same for experiences. Let's just take out the and again. And it's the same for podcasts, and it's the same for reading. And again, in our daily notes, if we go to a specific daily note, you can see you have a couple of things. So entertainment, podcast, coffee, chats. Let's say you have something new. So I have log that looks similar to this, where I have log that checks for Obsidian-related things. But then I'll have Obsidian video about XYZ, and I'll just put it in here. And then I'll have the URL link here, and then I'll have something or identifier of how to tell Obsidian that this specific log instance is about Obsidian. And let's say it is about daily notes. I would have Obsidian daily notes. And then what you will do is, if you want it in your weekly, you'll just go to your weekly template and just add another one. Copy, paste, change it from reading to Obsidian. You can see all your Obsidian-related learnings in a week, or notes in a week, or things that you want to capture in a week. So that's just to note for yourself that all of this is adaptable to your style, and you should adapt it to your style. So if we go back to our monthly templates, this should be fine. So let's go test it. So go to our month of February, Control E for edit mode, Control A for selecting everything, Alt E monthly, and now we should be done. So we have our review days, we have our logs, and just remember that this is dividing by the total number of days. So you'll only get an accurate representation at the end of the month when you filled in everything. And going back to tracking with people, experiences, podcasts, and reading. To open up, cool. All our people only for Feb has pulled in. Experiences only for Feb has pulled in. Podcast that is pulled in. Reading. So this is what we want to see. This is the power of the log. Power Rangers assemble. So maybe just a couple of things to mention, that this February note did not automatically get moved under monthly. I don't see a way to do it from the calendar, so I do it manually. But one way you can move these type of notes automatically is to go to community plugins and browse community plugins, and then it's called auto note mover, this one. What this does is it looks for metadata fields or tags, and based off of those tags, we're just going to install it. Based off of those tags, enable options, folder, cool, add a new role. So based off the specific metadata fields, you can automatically move a node based off the tag at its creation. Okay, so use regular expressions check folder to add new role, set a destination folder. Cool. Destination folder is going to be monthly. Look for the tag for by regex, add a new role. Here we go. Choose how to be activated automatic when you create, edit, or rename a node. Okay, cool. Automatic. Regular expressions to check for tags. If enabled, tags will be checked with regular expressions. For example, if you want to match tag, you would need to write tag. The settings for purposes, we don't care about that. The specific tag would then be, let's say, on monthly review. And let's see if it works, because yeah, I'm not sure if it does work, because this is basically the first time I'm trying it. It did not get automatically moved. Yes, I think we need to include tags metadata field because it's looking for tags or not. it moved automatically. So it just takes a little bit of time for you to press somewhere else, I guess. So let's delete this note and let's just create it again. So Control N to create a new note, 2023 in the correct format, and monthly note. Okay, it works. So what it does is it looks for notes with this hashtag in it. And to my knowledge, the only one that has this in is the monthly note, but you can obviously see that when you create the yearly note would also pick this up, so then it won't automatically get moved. So let's see, if we go to our periodic notes, you can see that we don't have the monthly one activated, so let's try and activate it. So for monthly notes, even though there's no way to click it on the calendar and I'm not sure where to find it, let's just go change this as well. So we are looking for monthly note template, and that would be under templates. Let's just see if we can find it here. Monthly note template. Okay, cool. Monthly note template. Note folder. New monthly notes will be placed here, and we obviously want it under 03 monthly, and the format. So somebody showed last time that you can add this year dash in order to automatically place it under a specific folder. So for your daily, it's a little bit of a super hot tip. If you go year dash month, every time when you create a new one, the format would still remain the same. So you can see the format is still year, month, day, but the new file is created and it automatically creates it under the year folder, under the month folder, under the daily folder. It's amazing. So we basically want something similar. I'm just going to take out because it adds confusion. Just know you can do it. But actually, no, let's keep it in because that is how I want it. And let's just quickly stop at the daily notes. Now I'm jumping around, but I want to show you how it works. So for now, on the daily, we have 2023, and it's just all the days basically get populated. So these guys should also technically be under 23 because we did not specify how they should get moved. So let's just add them all under 2023 because that's where they fall. And now let's create a day that we haven't created yet. So we see the 27th of Jan. Oh, sorry, it's not created. So if you create a new one, we see that it automatically went to 2023, it created a new folder and placed it underneath there. Now, let's go to January the 31st. When I create January the 31st, we can see the left-hand side, there is no 01 file. But if I create one, it automatically creates one. So this is something that I discovered literally 2 weeks or a week ago from one of the comments. And yeah, it's a complete game changer. So thanks. Then for weekly and monthly, you can do the same. Or you can just say, just place all the weeklies underneath that. But for monthly, we want it in the following folder, which is the monthly folder. And we want to create and we want it in a format year, month, but it must create the yearly folder underneath it. So curious to see if it will pick up. If I go to settings and AutoNote Mover, we'll go to community plugins and disable AutoNote Mover so that solution that we had won't work. I'm curious to see if this new solution would work. So I'm just going to open up our monthly note and I'm going to delete it and I'm going to create a new one. I want to call this 2023-02, sorry, and monthly. You can see it does not create it. So I think this is the problem with the calendar, because there's no way on the calendar to click a specific month like Feb, but we are in March. So if you want to create a new March note, what you can do is click Control P and then you go and type monthly, then periodic notes, open monthly note, but there's no way to open the next or the previous monthly note. So the limitation here with periodic notes is, yeah, it's a little bit complicated. So what this basically means is you need to create the month note in the month that you're currently in. Otherwise, the auto moving system that we specified or location that we specified with the periodic notes won't end up using the structure. So to show you, we have we want to press Control P, and we want monthly note, Control P, monthly, periodic notes, open monthly notes, and then it creates it perfectly for March. But if you want to create one for Feb, you then need to activate the AutoNote Mover, but then that would conflict with this periodic notes system of where it takes those notes. With the automatic note mover, however, I think there's going to be a lot of conflictions because it's just going to take it to the monthly. It's not going to go more in depth as to which year folder it needs to be under. So my advice, you can either use the one if you don't want to specify the years and you just want all the months. Then you can use the AutoNote Mover So if you don't want subfolders, but if you want subfolders like 2023, 2024, 2025, then ignore the auto note mover, and just use the periodic notes and make sure you create the notes in the month. Or if it's Feb and you want to create Feb, what you're going to have to do is create a new note, fill in the format same. Okay, so we already have a monthly note. Just go and delete it to show you, and create the note name of the month correctly. The 2023-02, enter, and then Alt E in order to get to our template, and then say monthly note template. It fills in everything correctly, but you can see when we right click and say reveal in file navigation. Yeah, reveal in file navigation. We can see that it just went and placed it randomly. Let's just delete this untitled one. So now you have to go manually and place it in the correct folder. So not too bad, but it's just something to be aware of. Okay, so we have changed everything in our monthly notes. So everything works. We are happy with it. The people only pulling in for Feb, and that should work. So I hope that helps. But for this video, we are done. So strength and honor, may the light illuminate you all, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. If you want to support the channel, please either buy a vault or just subscribe, give a like, and if you really want to show your appreciation by buying me a coffee, it really does help and it keeps my motivation levels high. But until next time.